Today we hear that great and memorable image of Jesus and the vine and the branches. But I thought that since there aren't too many vineyards around us, at least that I've recognized, I might use another image to remind us of what Jesus says in this little thing about the vine and the branches. So I decided I would use a smartphone, okay? And smartphone, it just does wonderful things, doesn't it? Of course, you can make phone calls, but it's got a camera on it. You can take notes. You can record things. You got your little contact list in there for addresses and phone numbers and stuff. You get your sports scores in here if you really want to know them. You know what I mean? I can order airline tickets on here. What else can I do? Oh, I can play games, and there's a flashlight. And if you got one of these things, you know all the kinds of things it can do. But there's one thing about it. If you don't plug it in, it's going to die. And then it makes a really good paperweight. Just like that. So it has to be plugged in. And it says something about us, if we want to go that route, is that we can do a lot of things. In fact, you know, all those time-saving things that we're supposed to, that we've gotten, and how much time have we saved? How much time? Who has too much time in their hands? Okay, right. So we can drain ourselves by doing lots of really good things. Cleaning the house, and you don't have to shovel snow anymore, so, you know, cutting the grass, and working and helping and being with people, and we could just run ourselves ragged. And just with the things of life, especially things of our relationships, which can drain us, we can end up like an old paperweight if we run out of gas, run out of electricity, run out of the kind of juice that we need to live our lives. You know what I'm talking about? We left empty, maybe distressed, maybe resentful. Just takes over. And we know we need to plug into something. Sometimes we plug into things, we try to plug into things, I'll just eat more, that'll give me more energy. Well, it doesn't work so well because we eat too much, it slows us down, gets us unhealthy. Or maybe I'll drink a little bit to take the edge off. Well, that's great. But then you wake up the next morning, and if you don't have a headache, you're still even drained more. And so Jesus said, I am the vine. You are the branches. If you remain in me, and I remain in you, then you will bear much fruit. We need to be connected to him. Just like if we don't put some electricity in this thing, it's a good paperweight. So if we don't stay connected to the source of our life, after all, where do we think life came from? If we don't remain connected to the source of our life, we're going to be just kind of dead. Going through the motions, maybe getting angry and resentful. Jesus says, I am the vine. You are the branches. Stay connected to me. Of course, we could do that through prayer, through the sacraments, through community. So that's one thing. There's another thing about these phones. I had an iPhone. This is an i6. I know people have different kinds. I don't much care. It's just what I have. And so I had an i4. And I was still learning how to get to use it. And not too long after I bought it, I found out that the battery wasn't lasting as long anymore. So I was a little upset. I was just a little curious. That's what I meant to say. So I went to the store and I said, the battery's not so good. The battery's not so good in this thing. Do I need a new battery or what? He says, give me that. So he says, you got your applications. Must have, I don't know how many, 60 applications or however many it was. Open here. What are applications? Those are your apps. apps, you see it, and then he punched in, brought up the apps and said, you see all these things on here? They're draining your battery. You got to close them. Well, how do you do that? He says, so he very patiently, thanks be to God, he goes, closed all the apps. Well, good, great. Now I got a good, better, my battery lasts longer. But then it kind of reminds us, what things are we carrying around and leaving open which need to be closed? What things are we doing in our lives which are not good and life-giving for us? For some, it's too much time spent sitting in the lazy boy eating bonbons. For some, it's going to be too much activity, which drains us. And for some, it's just doing useless, mind-wasting kinds of things. You get rid of them, and all of a sudden, we got time to do stuff with our lives. And Jesus said, the vine dresser prunes the vines. He takes away all that is useless and will drain you of your life and throws it away. So I might ask you this question. What in your life, as well as in mine, needs to be pruned, is not life-giving? Throw it away so that we might live more fully. Also, along with that, this thing, every once in a while, it's kind of aggravating sometimes because you got updates. At first I said, well, what are updates? So it was, you got to go and they make improvements to all of my applications on here. So you got to go in. One time I had 8 of them, 8 different things, apps to do. I was like, better do this now. So I went and did that. And it reminds us that everything we needed to know about religion and God was not taught to us by the 8th grade. That God continues to call us and to call us to himself and reveal himself to us, so we need to update. We can do that through reading, through spiritual reading, through reading the Bible, through our prayers, through sharing with other people in their faith. But my old image of God that I had when I was a kid doesn't apply to today. In fact, it's different than it was 20 years ago. It needs to be updated. In our relationship with God, he continues to reveal himself. So we need to be open to that. And in this vine, it not only needs to stay connected to the source, it also needs water and sunshine, a little bit of fertilizer from time to time. So do we. The last thing is this. Believe it or not, this is a phone. You can actually call people on it, as well as text them and email them. But at least when I grew up, a phone was meant to be in touch with other people, to take us beyond ourselves to someplace else, to somebody else. And all this other stuff is fine, but it's a phone. And it's meant for us to bear fruit by contacting other people, reaching on beyond ourselves. And sometimes we can get into this too much. How many people you see doing this? All day long, walking down, maybe you've done it yourself, sitting just like this, and the world gets really small. We need to be reminded this is a phone for contact with other people. And we got to remember who we are. Jesus said, I am the vine, you are the branches, and you are to go forth and bear much fruit by reaching out to others, by remembering who we are in the midst of the community. And we're not here, I hope, just for ourselves alone, but we are here to get juiced up again, to get back in touch with Christ on a deeper level, and also to share what we have with others, to bear fruit for others. Jesus says it much better than the phone does, but maybe the phone can remind us of what Jesus says. I am the vine. You are the branches. You need to be pruned so that we all might bear fruit.